Let's meet an hour early. We can catch up on all the gossip before your match begins.
All right, Chris. It's been a while since we last met.
Shall we meet up at the same place as last time?
Oh, I know where you mean. Down by the lake.
Yeah, that's right. It's a nice place to wait and there are plenty of seats.
Yes, I remember sitting on one for over half an hour waiting for you and I missed the start of the match. To make things worse, the coach made me sit on the bench for the rest of the game.
I did say I was sorry. I'm sure it wasn't that long, and anyway, it's a big lake, and as I said, there are a lot of seats.
This time I think we should meet near that ice cream kiosk. It's really central. You won't miss me there.
What if I turn up first? There is always a crowd of kids hanging around there and nowhere to sit.
OK, how about if we meet up nearer the football pitch? There's a place for boat hire where you can wait.
Oh no, not by the boat hire station. I don't like the man who runs it very much. He always seems so bad-tempered. I'd rather keep out of his way.
Well, there's a rose garden to the right of the lake as you walk towards the north entrance. It's nice and quiet there.
When did you last go to the park? The rose garden has been dug up and replaced by a children's playground.
Well, we haven't had a match there in ages. If you know the place so well, why don't you tell me?
Tell you what, why don't we meet up at the entrance? There's a nice place we can sit and have a drink. It's not really a restaurant, more of a cafe, but they serve light lunches and the coffee's excellent.
Sounds like a plan. See you tomorrow then.
Hello, I wonder if you could help me.
Yes, of course, sir. It's Mr. Griffiths, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I phoned this morning to confirm my booking. Was it you on the other end?
No, it was my colleague, but she passed on the details. So, what can I do for you, apart from giving you your key?
That won't be necessary. I checked in an hour earlier than I anticipated and got it from another member of staff.
That must have been while I was on my break. I hope your room is comfortable.
It's fine, but I need to know a bit about your breakfast arrangements as I need to get up early tomorrow.
Well, the breakfast room is the first door on your left as you come through the entrance. During weekdays, breakfast is served from 7 to 8:30, but it's extended to 9:30 at the weekend. You have a choice of a continental style or full English breakfast, which comes straight from the adjoining kitchen. If you want to dine in, we serve both lunch and dinner in the dining room, which is on the first floor, overlooking the swimming pool.
Thanks. I might have dinner here, but I'm afraid I won't have much time to use all of your facilities. I've heard that your sauna and jacuzzi are good. Are they open until late?
Yes, they close at 9:30 every evening, and there's a masseur and personal trainer on hand to help. If you fancy sitting in the TV lounge and watching a film, it's just across from where you're standing now, in the foyer, to your right.
That sounds good. Have you got a plan of the hotel? I'd like to have a look around later.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. There should be one in your room, sir. I won't be a minute. There are some in the office behind reception. Here you are.
Thanks. Are those the toilets over there in the corner?
Yes, that's right. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you very much. You've been most helpful.
Excuse me, I don't know my way around here very well. I'm trying to get to Derwent Crescent, but I'm having trouble with my navigator.
Well, that's not too difficult. Drive towards the roundabout and you will see the leisure centre on your left. It's a big concrete building surrounded by football pitches. Ugly looking thing.
Right, and then?
The turning on the left will take you past the local sixth form college, which used to be a secondary school. I used to go there years ago. You can get to your road that way, but it's a much longer route.
Someone told me that it's at the end of the road with the supermarket. Is that on the roundabout?
Yes, it is, but you'd be going completely the wrong way. It's a good job you asked me. You could have been going round in circles for ages. It's better to go straight ahead until you come to the bridge. Cross over and you'll pass a small grocer's shop on your right. Keep going and you will see the level crossing directly in front of you. All you need to do is follow that road for a couple of 100 metres and Derwent Crescent is the second turning on your left.
Great, thanks a lot.
Now, let's look at the attractions. As you leave the gift shop, you will notice that there is a ticket office opposite. This is not so for the Fairfax Road entrance, as this one only admits advance bookings. When you turn left coming out, there is a main road which goes across a bridge. This leads to the African village, where you can find food and gift stalls and toilets, and there is also an entertainment program for which you can see a timetable on the back of your brochures. If you turn left on the main road, rather than heading for African Village, you will pass the children's play area, which is across the river on your right. To your left, there is an area where the zebras used to be kept, but it has become the home of our new herd of giraffes, which have settled in very well. They are fairly tame and will come up to you, but it is not permitted to feed them. Further along the same road, you will come to a bridge. If you were to cross at this point, you would find that there is a picnic area on your right. If you'd rather eat at a cafe, you'll need to go to the village, which is about a 15-minute walk from the bridge. If you stay on the main road and don't cross the bridge, you will also come across the crocodile pit, which was only introduced last August and has proven to be very popular, especially at feeding time. From there you can pay a visit to the botanical gardens, which contain diverse plant species from all over the world. You might want to follow one of the various trails. Each one is themed according to its continent. After the botanical gardens, you come to a crossroads of sorts, from where you can either turn south, in which case you will come across the monkeys in our wooded area, mainly chimpanzees and orangutans, but you may see a few spider monkeys if you're lucky. Or, if you go westwards, you can be entertained by the antics of the dolphins and killer whales at Dolphin World. There are 3 daily performances, the details of which are shown in your brochure. This is not included in the overall price, and you will have to purchase another ticket separately from the ticket booth as you go in. Another area which has proven popular with little and big kids alike, is the small animal area, which you'll come to if you follow the path around past Dolphin World. Here you can feed and pick up the animals. However, there are plans to scale it down and create safari-themed rides in part of this area sometime next year. This has been met with a mixed reception, and we would appreciate any feedback on this matter on the forms provided. Finally, on the other side of the river, you can see a variety of African wildlife, including lions, rhinos, and deer. Well, that's about it. Now, has anybody got any questions? So far, so good. So we've seen that the rover design has made palpable progress over the last 3 decades. We must ask ourselves what the future holds for these pioneers of Martian exploration. Well, many of you are probably aware that the latest rover, the Curiosity, was launched from the NASA base in Cape Canaveral last weekend. At this point, you may be asking yourselves, what's the point? After all, the opportunity is still functioning perfectly well, and there is no reason to assume that it is going to malfunction in the near future. And so, inevitably, there will be those who may think that this program is just a waste of taxpayers' money, or even perhaps a mere publicity stunt. Obviously, they have not been filled in with all of the details because this project has, in truth, so much more going for it than any of its predecessors. Firstly, it is less of a rover and more of a science laboratory. And unlike its diminutive predecessors, it's the size of a small car and is packed with scientific equipment. When compared to the previous generation of rovers, it is 5 times as massive and is able to carry 10 times the weight. We can only imagine the huge amounts of data it will be able to harvest from its surroundings. It may even pave the way for manned missions to Mars and future colonization. Of course, we can only speculate at this point, but it is worth noting that in terms of human history, it wasn't that long ago that the first men landed on the moon. As I said, it is far bigger than any of its predecessors, which presented the designers with one outstanding challenge: its landing. Now, the smaller rovers used an airbag system which allowed them to bounce unharmed onto the surface. This was fine for something of their size, but would be insufficient for the Curiosity. So that meant that scientists had to devise a brand new landing system from scratch. In order to land, the craft needs to position itself approximately 125 kilometers above the planet's surface. At this stage, The rover is safely cocooned in its aeroshell, which is in turn housed within a shield designed to absorb the fierce heat of atmospheric entry. Next, the heat shield is jettisoned, leaving the sky crane still in the aeroshell to slowly descend by parachute, with the rover suspended from cables. At about 10 kilometers altitude, a parachute opens, slowing the descent, and finally, less than 2 kilometers before touchdown, the aeroshell is ejected and the rover is gently lowered to the surface by the sky crane. The cables are cut by small explosive charges, and the sky crane flies away to crash well clear of the rover. So let's say that the rover lands safely. It then has to go through a series of checks which will last several days before it can function as a laboratory. Initially, all communication connections have to be checked and the exact location has to be verified. Ideally, it should land somewhere in the Gale crater, which contains some of the most accessible sedimentary deposits, which are ideal for scientific analysis. Now, what do they expect to discover in this crater? Well, based on the other evidence,